Okay, flatland challenge. Can only build house ballistas and ballistas on +1 tiles. We're not mana bolting. So let's go there. Heavy shafts are really good because it leads onto fire, which is great for early armor. I think flatland is described as +1 or less. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, if you live in the super flatlands, yeah. But you'd put your house on stilts, wouldn't you? Or at least have it raised with like a front, like a surrounding veranda. Right? Otherwise, you'd build it on a little hill in the area. Flaming bolts. +0 is also flat. No, I get it. I understand. But anyone that lives in flatlands doesn't actually build their house like the slab on the ground like that. They probably do modern days at some point, but I don't know. Still seem to have a you know, with some sort of raising, because water, you know. Or in this case, goblins. Although they're in a -1 path. No, I like what we're doing. Oh! Yeah. Flaming 2. No, let's go for bleed. We'll take broadhead because it leads on to bleed. Hey look, if you want to do a flatland challenge and use zeros as well, you go right ahead. I'm not going to tell you how to play. Cheap. Oh, got through. Gonna take in banditry 2 already over the extra flaming bolts. I think so. Like, I want the money. House Ballista. Gotta protect my my fellow flatlanders. Plus, it gives me a bit of double coverage. Hey Phoenix, how you doing, man? Yeah, you guys like tower defenses with deck building and roguish natures? You're not into that sort of stuff, are you guys? We do want to be able to deal with shield when it happens. I think it feels a little bit early, but we're in a good spot, so why not? you doing, man? Should be fine. Get him. Close though. There's my bleed. Banditry 3 though, but I really want bleed. Oh, this is good actually. Easy game, easy challenge. Something like that. So these ones, look at these ones, without range, they don't even reach the other side. And we take Poison Belt's really good, but I think we can take Banditry 3 right here. +2 to armor damage is really good as well though. But just the way that this is sort of playing out. Very nice go, man. Yeah, easy game, easy life. You just have to be good at video games if you want to play like me. Just go level 10 with a map that's completely wrapping around itself. That's how the pros do it. Why would you start doing this thing with splits and separation and separate fingers? It sounds like a dumb idea. Poor strategy. Extra slow. Just win forehead strats, that's right. Just win forehead. I mean, it's too late now, it's already put a few in, but I wonder if it could have been done on just +0s. I want to take the +2 something damage over the second dot damage. Mainly because that one leads onto the +3, which, you know, it's not +1 to goes to +2, goes to +3. It's +1, and then +2 makes 3, and then +3 is 6, but we're already starting with 1, so it's going to be 7. It's a big difference. Huge difference. Why not range? Because I wanted extra slow. I think the answer to the question, why not something you didn't do, is always going to be because I wanted the one that I did do. Almost 100% of the time. I did the one I did because it's what I wanted, not the one that I didn't want. There's the +3 to health, which is huge, absolutely huge, but maybe we want to get into shields sooner for when shields come, because I think we've got this covered. is a ballista only flatland run. So we get house ballistas and on +1s only. No +2 or +3s. And strangely enough, I decided I'm not doing any flatland anywhere else. That gives me too much freedom. And now I have to choose between, outside of house ballistas, I have to choose my spots based on where the +1s are available. Oh, Enchanted 3, really good here, but Poison also really good. I'm going to go +3 over the Poison. I'm going to expand this one once, and of course I get a split. We're going to go that way, because that one will go up to there, and then we'll pull it out so we don't get a portal. I mean, I don't need to be on that +1, but too late now. Okay, so because this one's definitely going here, this one can't split, which means it's going to go here, then here. If we close it off there, we'll have a portal, which isn't terrible, right? It's a decent length for a portal. It does mean that one could go all the way across then, which would be good too. Yeah, I'm not going mana bolts. I'm going for, I'm pushing into the dot tree for the crit pop and seeing how that works. Okay, so we take the poison bolts now, I think, yeah. So I have to work out if I want I'll have to decide if I want the portal there or not. I don't have to decide now. Or if I want this lane to go around. I think I do want a portal and then I'll push this lane that way. We might not get a portal. If this turns, we don't get a portal. Oh, Panz, you've got heaps of ballistas you should put everywhere on the 1+ spots. About that. Yeah, we've got slow bleed, burn, and poison. Oh, slow doesn't give one. I keep thinking slow gives one, but it's not. Let's go poison 2, or we go slow but sure because that leads into coughing thingy. No, I want poison. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we can. This is a portal now, so we're forced the portal. I'm okay with that. Means we can control our lanes a little better, maybe. We'll need to push that one out. I want to push that one across though. Alright, got Oogie rewards. +3 health damage. Creeping cough. Vile consumption leads onto crit pop. We have a lot of money as well. think portal is worse than turn because turn would have allowed main tower ballistas to shoot more. There is that. There is also still the possibility that this goes through. Main tower portals should still hit though. Won't be as strong as if it had turned around for that lane, but could improve the other lane. Now, if this lane turns away from us, then that negates that completely. But yeah, what can you do? I want the +2 before the extra 25. Hey, look at this. Okay, good. We do have a lot of spots that +1s can go. Oh. Need to check in on the new Vampire Survivor stuff at some point as well. Need that to open the fire stuff. I'd rather play these ones. What is this challenge? Ballistas only. And get house ballistas. Everything else needs to be on a +1. No flat, no +2, no +3s. Very much like to take range now, I think. So I'm going to run it without mana bolts. I'm going to go for the crit pop damage. +1 is a weird limit. Yeah. I think being able to go on flat gives you too much option. Sure, it's not as big a range, and you do have less damage, but you get too many spots where you can choose the better tile. You're kind of limited with +1s on certain spots. Yeah, here's the range. Oh, heavy +3 is really good, but I think I want range now. Just so I can start seeing some extra reach sort of like here and on some of these ones pushing around. have some of these hitting out. Let's close this off now so I can see where I can build. Floor is lava, yeah. Except around the houses. Yeah. Because reasons. Not because they're rich and exploitable. Except they are. And that's why. I don't need the extra range just yet. Definitely want that one. That's a big upgrade. Now also, I want to push this with so little range, I don't need to push that back so far. Okay. I do want to push it back further though, so that it gets away from converging here. Since this hasn't split, we've got a bit of safety to push this one out a bit. How much do houses give you over the course of the game? If you play it on turn 1... Factorial's multiplication, isn't it? It's 23 times... What's that pattern for? Oh, you get 20, so you average 23 gold per 2 waves. Yeah, so 23 times, let's just go with 23, whatever that is. I think. That's if it's a 1-to-1. You get double that if it's a 2-to-1. Plus they usually do damage as well. It's when they're not doing damage, like when you've got them in a spot where they're doing really bad damage. This is what we wanted to get into, the crit pops, but I don't have crits yet. But that means since we're pushing into those cards, it's probably worth taking crits. Yeah. We can hit 2 lanes here. +1 seem really common. Yeah. And they're usually in okay spots. Don't know about quality over quantity just yet. Okay, we're getting towards university time, and I think that's worth more than the 10% crit to make sure we have that card, because that's big boost. Ooh, yucky. Alright. I want to get scholarships. One for the university, but two to make the other crit cards more readily available. At some point we're going to want them. Range is also good there though. And then I want to play these waves out a bit longer. I want to sort of try and stretch the whole leg out over this wave. Because the split's probably the same. The split's one tile more than, I think. 1, 2. This split's 3 tiles, whereas the portal's 2 tiles back, I think. Yeah, 2 tiles back. So we just need to push this out a little bit. Expunge's description sounds pointless. Okay, so how the crit pop works, whether it be the fire burn or poison one. If a... So take an enemy where... Let me find one that's a bit easier to... This guy, right? He's got... Let's pretend he's got much higher value. He's got 77. So... When you, when fire damage ticks, it's currently, let's say, ticking for 25. So that's going to go from 77 down to 52. He's going to take 25 fire damage. Now, fire damage only does half value against poison and health. So right now, you're going to see it as 12. If he was in armor, fire damage does full value against armor. So he would take 25 damage. You'd get 25. When the crit comes in and it says crits deal 10% of their current damage. Well, at the moment, that's only going to be 7 damage, right? But if this was at 700, it'd do 70 damage, and it's an immediate 70 burn, right? So it will reduce the fire dot by 70, but it'll do 70 damage, which will be reduced by half on poison because it only does full value against armor, so it'd be 35. If it goes to 7,000 fire damage, which much later in the game, you do see some of the enemies getting... You know, several hundred damage or several thousand damage. Oogies, you've seen Oogies with 100,000, right? What it does is it does an instant hit of that. It's like a flare up. It'd be like throwing some gasoline on a fire is what's happening. And it's just going whoosh. And it's using a lot of the fire's fuel to reduce the total available, but it's doing an instant hit. Imagine Oogie. Yeah, the soundtrack's really good. So that's how the crit pops work, is they deal a direct amount of damage at a percentage of the current available dot. So with ballistas, especially, well, before the patch when you had quality over quantity 2 and 3, and you could get the ballistas up to 100% crit, a level 1 ballista that does a crit for, like, I don't know, 10 damage, or 20 damage because it's a crit, it wasn't so much about the crit being big, it's that crit triggered on an enemy that's got 100,000 burn is now taking or plus if you've got all 3 cards in play, it's 10% burn, 10% poison, and 10% bleed. And if they've got 100,000 of each of them and it's 10% of that value, that enemy's now taking, you know, a 30,000 hit. That's not what the card description says. According to the game's poison damage is an act of applying poison. For the example, terminology mix up? Sure. Right. And that's where there is definitely some confusion. However, there is a frequently asked question in the Discord that addresses that in particular. Plus Z had looked in the code earlier because that's how I had assumed it as well. So dealing burn damage applies the dot as well as doing the damage as burn damage. So I don't know, but yeah, it is a pop. It's described in the game cards as crit pop. So either like burn crit pop or poison crit pop or bleed crit pop because it's a pop of damage. But yeah, I'll definitely agree. Maybe a little bit terminologically ambiguous. yeah, we agree the tooltips aren't great. We agree that there's a lot of other quality of life things we'd like to see. We agree upon a lot of things that are not going to change. And we agree that we're all going to complain about it, myself included, till the cows come home, about how it could have been much better, and it's a shame it didn't happen. And that doesn't change the fact that those of us that have bought the game and are playing it have paid for it and are playing it. But we both get enjoyment playing and discussing it and having a whinge about it together, so I don't see any reason why that will change. Game is great. Yeah, I'd say it's, depending where your standards sit, could reach into great. You honestly hope they figure out a way to let the community patch in a year or so. Well, the community's already patching. I think it's it feels like it's a one dev main and maybe some extra helps, because there's been references to Wii in regards to getting stuff done, but the bulk of it is Andrew Mason. If not the entirety, with a little bit of contracting maybe. Okay, I don't think we need to get to monster studies yet. Especially since Monster Studies is good if you've got multiple different types of towers, because it applies 1 damage to across the board. But not the greatest when you're already at +7, it's just moving it to +8 for the cost of a card. We're not at universities yet, and I've got way too much money to be sitting on, so let's plonk down some ballistas in some key spots. Now, remembering we can only put in 1 spots. Along here is a good series of 1 spots. Along in here is good as well. Oh, that's not a 1. Yeah, so whether it goes to... I would be extremely surprised if it goes to like Steam Workshop levels of mod capabilities. I think it's just going to be use like one of the Unity deobfuscation tools, create a project and start applying mods with your own binary. Maybe it was the Royal Wii. Well, okay, so some of the statements regarding his position on questions about the game, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a legitimate Royal Wii take on life. Definitely dealing with the portal area. You think oxygen not included is the only... What's IL patching for mods? And they still did a workshop. C#.net compiles to... Oh, intermediate language. Okay. Yeah, so, I don't know. You can definitely take okay, so you can definitely take some Unity projects and get some tools that'll reopen it as a Unity project for you that you can compile yourself. There are definitely ways that if you are developing in Unity, you can prevent some of those from allowing people to do that. This project is not one of those. This has been done with the most generic set of university tools available. So just go get yourself whatever. There's like a dozen or so deobfuscation tools that will just turn it into a Unity project if you want to make this and compile it yourself. Make as many changes as you want. Package it up. Try selling it if you're really that sort of dirty bastard. But, you know, but don't do that. Or at least improve on the code if you're going to. There's no reason to... No, there's definitely reasons against stealing this code. Like, go get some good stuff. Don't use this. I mean, heck, go follow the Brackies tutorial on YouTube and you'd probably end up with better product. I think CodeMonkey might have even done one using ECS. I have 11,000 golds we should spend. Does a fort on +1 ground count against the flatland policy? I was looking at this going, I wonder if I can get away with it. That's on a +3 though, so that's a 6. So that would make it a +4. And yeah, I think it does go against. Still no university tiles. I have +1 range with +2 range. I don't know if that makes it. We'll keep that open for later. They're kind of fine. Get half coverage is reasonable. Let's get another one in somewhere. Probably some of these home stretch ones, hey. I like being more forward than... I think the turtle spot, you need enough turtling spot, but I think being able to get some up front significantly reduces some turtle if they're in good spots. If they're not in good spots, maybe we can get this to wrap back around. Or if that pushes on, we can get some double up. Oh yeah, okay, so this could be good. We can get some +1s here now because this is going to go that way. So these just became really good spots. tower crits are... Oh, they're matching my thing, aren't they? Good. What is flatland policy? Zeros as house ballistas only. Everything else has to go on a +1. We have universities. I'm going to max out shields as usual because I think that gives us the best against later defenses. I'm going to do it while the wave's going just to speed things up a bit. Might go here anyway, but I'm going to wait to see where the tile goes. More crit before more... I mean 10 crits more than 5 crit. Without having to invest in mana, raising university invest for 21 might be viable. It might be. Oh man, I was really hoping that that would go straight. Can I... Do we still get 2 more range? Is that worth? Maybe. I think in here is worth though. Those two might be a good spot. Definitely helps out more with this the portal. Keeping this wave out. I don't know if we need to keep this wave out though. Need to take the bleed one before we can get pushed towards like the bleed pop as well. But I think that gives us more immediate damage. I think pushing those up, especially if we're not going to get the university tiles. So that's almost dealt with out of its lane. These ballistas are not shooting here where they could be, so if we'd killed this front one off sooner, there's a reason to put some more in here. This wave's sort of getting demolished by the back end of towers. It's really good, like, this wave here gets killed by these. So they're getting experience. So they're stronger when these ones come around. Which is usually the problem with your turtle defenses, they just didn't get experience practicing. And then something makes it through and everything does no damage to it. I like that you can manually level. I think that's a nice design. flaming too. Don't need to push that one out further. These converge too much, so let's push this one out. I don't need to put anything in between. I just want to have this one take longer to get to here. What's my favorite tower from a tower defense game? Ooh. The bottom half Gatling gun in balloons is the first thing that comes to mind. If I had to, I think there might be something if I scratched the old memory banks that if I compared them, you know, playstyle might come up, but that's sort of top of mind because I've played balloons more recently than older ones. I do like the shredder in this game, but yeah, it's not as high. Yeah, I'm trying to think back to some of the Warcraft 3 engine ones, but it's just too long ago. I kind of vaguely remember the maps and some of the concepts, like the ones that I played a lot, but as trying to work out the individual towers, I can't scratch my brain that far back. Oh, we still haven't got range. That's going to be huge. Yeah. A bit of convergence still. Probably put some more stuff around here maybe. If that had gone straight, I could put some stuff here to get both of them. I'm very poor on the university front, community colleges. Two, three, four. Okay. Get him. We need both of these if we want to push onto the other one. Let's just take that one now. There we go. Also, leveling individual towers does a lot more now than other stuff. But even that can wait. Free experience while we can get it. this guy there, he had like 3,000 bleed, 2,000 burn. So he takes a crit from something and gets an immediate 300 bleed damage. Probably needs to be higher. Seems to be working. Oh, longbow 3. Yep. 5 crit though. I want that range. Like 1,500. Plus 20, 1,600 for another 5%. That lane just got absolutely hammered. It's dead. Portal lane's dead. One tile in. The back lane had a few units merge in, but not too many. We're just letting these guys get more experience because that's valuable. We've only got one more portal stop, so I think buffing these guys is worth it. Yeah, portal lane gives you a good source of experience there. They get a few hits in, especially with that extra range. And then if stuff starts coming around the corner, these ones will start getting more experience as well. Let's grab that extra crit. 45 crit means we're missing 1 research studies. Before I forget. I think triple split over here is fine, so it takes the pressure off the other lanes more. And this is the longest lane. Yeah, quarter lane's dead already. And this one, Boogie's here. Boogie came in off a short lane. Because I was expanding and didn't realise. Is it going to matter? There's a lot of stuff here that Oogie's only in range for, so they'll continue to shoot at him. While this shoots the front. Kind of here, Oogie gets lost in the crowd. But the front end's just not making it around. His slow gets weakened, which means he moves faster. But then occasionally he cops a ping from something. Okay, so here's where crit pop is really valuable. Oogie has 20,000 bleed and 19,000 fire. So when he gets hit with a crit, he gets done for 2,000 bleed damage and 1,900 fire damage. When he's at the front and all the ballistas are hitting him with a, what are we on, 45% chance to crit? I haven't taken 5% chance on bleeding yet. That's almost every second shot's critting, so it's a big value. And these numbers are just getting bigger, right? So the crits are just chonking him down. And you see when he's not getting hit, it's still going down because of the dots, but it's so slow. But then he takes a few hits and these massive steps in damage, like in his health. There's that last 5% crit too. Slow cooker. Bleed opens us up to be able to get the bleed pop. I think we need Trial of Blood. Yeah, and that opens up bleed pop for us. He only has 1,000 poison, meaning that extra was expunged already. Do I not have... Right. Yeah, so we'd already expunged his poison down. So he's taken those hits. So those chunks will be bigger. Because you're right, I don't have the bleed pop or the burn pop. So that was just from regular crits. And in theory, the poison damage should be the same level as those two crit values. So we've done that damage to him. So the chunks are just from the crits. So we start adding the extra 10% of the burn and bleed damage, those chunks would have been higher. So we definitely want to watch the next Oogie to like see how much that does. But you're right there, Dartha. We're only expunging the poison. Expunge is poison. They've given it a different word for the other one. We'll continue to call it pop. The difference between poison, burn, and bleed is, in that instance, the reason that the burn and the bleed were at 20,000, close enough to each other, the poison wasn't, is because we had the poison pop was already been done based on crit. So we'd done about 17,000 poison damage, right? Which on shields is full value. On armor and health is only half value. So there's also a bit of a little bit of anti-synergy where when you crit, it takes some of that damage, like it reduces the dot available straight away. So the more you crit, the faster you reduce that dot. And if you reduce, and every time you reduce it, you the next crit pop's not going to be worth as much. So if you're critting all the time, you're pretty much never applying any. Like you apply some and then it gets critted, and then it bounces back and forth. But I don't think it gets high enough to where that's a factor. Exsanguinate's the bleed one. Eviscerate is 5% crit against bleeding targets, which gives us more crit. Saying rate, it means our crits do more damage. I think I want to get these ones before that final 5%. Plus there's 2 of those. I think it's 10% each. The more crit, the more raw damage you do, the more dot you apply that gets reduced by the next crit. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that when you crit, it does reduce the current bleed, but also applies some based on the damage you've done in that shot. So it's still more valuable to take that path. I haven't put in the final increased bleed rate, or for each of the bleed, burn and poison. I haven't taken the extra increased rates, so we'll only ever get up to 50. I haven't taken the one that pushes it up, and I haven't taken Let Them Suffer that does all of them, because I feel those are just wasted cards. We counted out the cards. By taking those, it does make you drop faster, but I think that's, with the amount of ballistas firing, I think it's negligible. I even think it's negligible damage, but in terms of, we'll do less pop damage because if we're bleeding at a rate of 200 a second instead of 50 a second, the number will be lower. Like, true, but you do that damage over time instead of getting it from a crit pop. So it's not like it's lost. You know, if you do 1,000 crit pop, it actually absorbs 1,000 of the remaining damage. So if you had enough cards, like if the game went on to wave 60 and you were like, oh, I want to play more dot cards, just the way it falls out, I know there's been discussions where people have said, oh, you want the rate to be as low as possible so the crit pops is higher. And I understand where they're coming from, but I think you want your overall damage output just to be as high as possible to get the enemies off the field so you can start shooting the next one. So if you trade a slightly lower crit pop for a slightly higher bleed damage, bleed per second, but the end result is the enemies die sooner because your bleed per second like added more than you lost from the crit pop. It's like saying, I'm going to trade in my quarters for dollars. It's like, yeah, do that, but you'll lose all your quarters. Yeah, oh man, I don't want to lose my quarters, but I get to trade them all in for dollars. Yeah, oh, I don't want. My quarters are worth 25 cents each. It's probably closer than that. It's probably not 25 to 75, but that's that kind of mentality, right? More is more. But then, like, that's where opportunity cost comes in. When you've got a limited number of cards you can play, is it worth that small trade-in? I don't believe it is when on 45 wave game. Panz, you can't put a wad of dollars into a sock and make an improved bludgeon. That is an extremely valid point. The other way to look at it is just a dot acceleration on crit. So as long as the enemy still has dots to prevent regen, extra damage is extra damage. That's the way I look at it, yeah. And I think that only applies, like you can only make that argument because the crit pop reduces the damage available. If the crit pop wasn't taking off the total of the available dot, then you could say, well, no, I don't want it because I want to keep that available dot as high as possible, so my 10% is as high as possible, but it's not. Yeah, that's right, King Banhammer, you can. You just need a heavier roll or bigger socks. Sacagawea dollars exist. That's true. I've just noticed I have a ton of money that I haven't been spending. $50, yeah. This is totally not worth it, but I'm trying to see how much we can get up to. My biggest total research was 99, and I just don't think we've got the universities to beat that. I had a lot of universities out that time. If Pop preserved the dot pool, it would have become infinitely scaling thingy. It would have scaled too fast, yes. But then you could also say you don't. Well, in which case then you could also probably say, no, it wouldn't infinitely scale because it'd only scale at the same rate if you don't take the card. So like I haven't had the pop cards in for quite a while. I put them in specifically for this run because we're doing something different. I'm like, okay, I need more cards. I'll put the crit pops in. Oh, I didn't want to go mana bolts, which meant I didn't have 5 mana bolt cards. I didn't need mana then, so I replaced them with the crit pop cards. Is shield damage even needed anymore? Yes. Wave 40 onwards is a massive percentage of like point for point, easily 60-70% shield points. Never underestimate your shield damage. So the hardest thing to represent that, if we look at the beholder here, right? Sure, he's only got a little bit of shield, but that is a 100% bar, right? These little guys with bugger all, like they have bugger all, right? But when you get someone else like this over here, you can't tell the numbers comparison really well, but I can tell you just because I've seen the thing. He's got a lot more shield hit points than this guy has health hit points. And then when you get to the portals, their bars, like their numbers are even higher, but the bar doesn't represent that very well. And most importantly, when you're wanting to one-shot an eye, where's an eye? It gets like, I don't know the numbers on the eyes, but the shield, there's one. This bar here, that's an eye, right? It's got two purple pips and a health pip, right? Which means our shield damage we do only does half to the health one. Right, so if we scale all shield, that basically means we need to be able to do 4 shield bar worth of damage. If you try to scale to go, okay, I only need 2 shield bars from a ballista and 1 health, because you're spreading it, you're actually not scaling as well. You can scale more efficiently with more shield, which also then makes you stronger against the enemies that have massive shield. So we just want to be able to just destroy those eyes. These guys they're almost one-shotting eyes. But there's so many of them there. Kind of feels like they may as well be. One different one is armor. If you're getting like at level, getting close to 30 and you feel your armor damage is weak, at levels like these guys, they can really do bad things to you if you don't have enough armor damage. Especially so you need to have burn up. Usually with any burn just destroys armor. More than bleed does health and more than poison does shield. It's because they wear wooden armor. They're not very smart. But yeah, they're orcs and things and stuff. You weren't expecting that. Where'd they go? Yeah. So usually once you've scaled your ballistas up, you know, the armor damage at 340 being the weakest, you know, it still comes in and chunks enough at those guys, because there are some waves where there's lots of them, but once you get, you know, past the wave 35 boogie, there's just so few of them. I don't know if I want quality over quantity now. Yeah, no, I do. They're all high enough. That has to be a non-splitting lane. I've got heaps of money. And that's why you don't make games super soup. Yeah, that's okay. Well, can't have a +2. One, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, that's a free one anyway. Which is kind of good because it just gives us a little bit of room in front of that one. So that's one I want to take. I'm just sort of... I'm working out if I want to put any pre-split stuff here. And I kind of think I do. I'm not going to get much more value out of putting stuff down here. I could get a little bit of stuff in here, but... because I'm choosing not to level my towers because I just can't be bothered. So I think placing them and sort of doing some pre-thinning is going to be better. But I just got to work out where I'm going to get the most value out of a pre-thin, and I think somewhere where I might get a little bit of final and defensive, or at least where I'm hitting, you know, multiple sides of a wave. Oh, that was already portal? Rude, which means I want to do that one next so we can get Boogie out of there. Oh, of course, because I had 6 to go. Alright, there goes the portal wave. These guys have already come up, so we missed out on some damage going there. The back wave is there. Gets pretty dense in here. Both unit classes have a spot for a Ballista. Yeah, that's true. We should protect the universities. That's a good spot too. This one not so much. But let's protect, since we're not allowed to put them on the towers. We might as well protect the universities. One issue could be that these towers up here are weak as past. They're like level 5. So, get some shots in, get some leveling up down there, guys. You could be in trouble otherwise. Since these are going to be weak, as I said, I'm refusing to level. I need to probably get the best spots for them. One thing with the weak ones that is good is that they crit pop. Which isn't the greatest on new fresh units. Pretty good on if anything big gets around. Seem to do okay. Hey, we take mana bolts. I Monster studies to shield is good. Got the Oogie Wave ready. Oogie Wave is ready. This is a 3 non-ballista balance deployment challenge. Yeah, I can only go on 1+, except for the house ballistas. You think more crits leads to more efficient crit pop overall? Me too. I like more crits with more crit pop. So some of these guys have high crits, they're like 59%. Is that all we're getting? Where's the like level 18s? Which would be like, so some of them are probably at 70%, plus 5 on bleeding targets. And since everything's practically a bleeding target, so I think the biggest towers probably got like 75% crit. Definitely need to put some more down there. Why are we intentionally avoiding the 3 spots? Because that's the challenge. It does seem a little odd. I'm gonna go health before armor, I think, here. If we'd had more universities, these would have been huge. Feels public education, man. Hey Pop, how you doing? Dude, after that Nerds round yesterday, I was buzzing. I felt brain pain like no other from a game which involved very little thinking. Because there's that eyes darting everywhere. If you guys haven't played it, Nerds Online is a Zachtronics game. It's free to play. There's a cooperative element to it, but it's basically head-to-head PvP solitaire. And it was great. What do you think about stroking up from hearing that described? The way that it's set up, the way that people can drop in and drop out of the game as well, made it so fluid. which is a little bit annoying because you're about to win a game against some friends, and then someone on the internet jumps in and goes, "Ah, nerds," and you're like, "What?" Oh, you were using the trackpad with it. Oh man, no wonder you were missing the like getting robbed on the ace-2 combinations. I had one at some point. Someone had played, I don't know, let's go with a 4. And I saw it going over. I grabbed my 5 and I went dunk as they were bringing their 5 in. And I went back for my 6 and I put it in as they'd put their 5 back and then were bringing their 6 up. And I got at least 3 cards on it on the same one. I don't think I got 4. But yeah, and they kept reaching for one of theirs. So bad. Head-to-head PvP solitaire, why? Because it's amazing. Because almost everyone knows how solitaire works, and if you don't, it's super easy to pick up, right? This holds off. You feel like PvP solitaire misses the point? Well, yeah, but how do you use the game mechanics of solitaire, right, and have it as a team player effort? You've still got to call it by a name that people understand what it is. So even if we called it Redsies, Blacksies, Ace to Kingsies, and we said, oh, it's okay, so it's not solitaire. It's a PvP head-to-head AC Redsies, Blacksies, Ace to Kingsies game, and everyone like, oh, I like AC Red to Blacksies, AC Kingsies. It might be fun to play that with someone other than myself. Right? It's going to take a while for that to catch on because it's really hard to say Redsies, Blacksies, Ace to Kingsies over and over again without making a mistake. And a lot of people aren't going to understand what it is. And when you explain it to them, they'd be like, why didn't you just call it solitaire? Well, because it's multiplayer. Isn't PvP solitaire called Uno? No, it's a completely different game. And the mechanics are completely different as well. And you don't use a standard deck of cards. I mean, you could, and you could adapt the things. But then it still wouldn't be solitaire. So how you play it out is it's the same initial setup as normal, but you get 13 cards go face up. You only get to see the top one in a separate pile. And since the name of the game is Nerds, that's your Nerds pile. And because they're face up, you can use the top one like any normal card, right? Where it can go into an open space, or it can go up onto your ace pile, or you can build down from it. Oh, that's the other change too, which I know some people house rule. Depending on what rule set you use, you can only put a king in one of the open spaces. This game allows you to put any card into an open space on your build down row. Okay. But there's a spot for everyone's 4 aces. If someone plays an ace, you can play a 2 on it. Am I suggesting words are best used to communicate ideas successfully? Well, I'm not very good at cave painting. So words would be appreciate. Oh, wow. I'm going to take Mana Siphon just because. Officially, the name of the game is Klondike. So solitaire is when you play Klondike by yourself. I have heard of Klondike. I wouldn't have remembered it without being told. No, I can't. What would you do? Solitaire is any game you play by yourself. Yeah, I don't know about any game. I do something by myself I call solitaire. Mrs. Panz would definitely say it's not solitaire and not appropriate. In US and Canada, Klondike is so popular many people call solitaire because it's the most well-known solitaire game. Yeah. Tens of thousands of gold. Any tabletop game you play by yourself, usually with cards. I think over time that's been reduced to definitely card game, which revolves around doing something with piling up towards aces and with some sort of stacky build. Remember, language is fluid, so but yeah, there's many varieties of solitaire. But to the point that if you just say solitaire, Klondike would be the one that people would sort of have that word with. But yeah, it's that version with some slight alterations. And cards in your nerds pile are worth -2 points. Any card you get up in the ace row. The point scoring was really cool too. Oh, we've got to take something else and it won't be mana bolts. Let's take Mortar Tower. He's cool. I'm not going to play him. And it's round based, and the idea is to get a total of 100 points. So at the start your score is 0 - 26. Because you're going to lose 26 points if you don't do anything. And every time you play a card into the ace row, it adds to your -26. Because it's the current round you're playing in. Anytime you take a card out of your nerds pile, it also... oh, there's a +1 there. It also takes one off, whether you put it down here, but if you put it up the top, it's a 2-point swing. If you play solitaire alone, it's called solo-taire. And if you do the game that I play, it's called Hans Solo-taire. Don't play it in public. Sorry, Eli, you've been outruled on this one. Wikipedia can't save you now. Solitary solo-taire. Now, what if you drink a can of Solo while you're playing it? Solitary soda solitaire? Does this even matter? Where I mean, I'd hate to lose because I put it in a bad. No, I wouldn't. I don't care. This run's been ridiculous. This was a great suggestion. Whoever suggested this one. Here comes Big Brainy. But yeah, anyway, with the nert, so the idea is you need to clear your nerts pile, which is the 13 face-up cards. If you do that, you can hit that button, and that ends the round, and everyone's score is adjusted by their current round score. You can set in your rules if you want a bonus for anyone hitting nerts, like +5 or +10. Right? But obviously, to play out your nerts pile, you've at least removed 26 points. Plus whatever you put. So if you can keep playing cards, you can keep getting points. Some people just hit it as soon as possible, which is also a valid strategy, I guess. Because it means, especially if you're playing against multiple people, you getting like 5 more points while everyone else gets 5 more points. If you're playing against 3 or 4 or 5 other people, that's probably a net loss. So you kind of want to hit that nerds button as soon as possible. If you can. And then the next round, and then it's a reshuffle and go again. And it was so fast. And then if you've got the game set to open like I do, you know, someone jumps in halfway through and they start at 0-0 or 0 -26, but that's okay because Pop Monkey was like -80 at that stage. Sorry, Pop, I had to do it. Boogie's still going strong here. He pegged it back though. +1s. I need some +1s. I need some +1s. Oh man, it's like I'm single again. Better not comment on how that would change life. Get in trouble. Okay, the portals are getting ripped. We won, chat. No upgrades. We did manage to get +3, +9, +31 from the universities, so it wasn't terrible overall out of the 8 universities. Our ballistas are costing 169.0 gold for the next one. We'll leave it at that. I haven't upgraded anything. I haven't set any priorities. We have only played on +1s except for the house ballistas, but nothing's been on +2 or +3. That's the challenge, the Darkstorm. It's called the Lowlander Challenge, which I said I'm not going to play on the... The suggestion was on +1s. I allowed house ballistas being on 0. They didn't want to go just on 0 because there's too much freedom for good spots. So I had to pick up the +1s, and it turns out there's too much freedom for that as well. Easy game is easy. We're approaching the under-leveled turtle zone though. I could put out another ballista, but we'll lose our number. Seems like burn dots didn't pop. I might not have had the burn dots in play, I can't remember. +1 is easier because you still get the extra range and base damage. Well, you only get one lot of extra range, and you only get one lot of base damage. Whereas +2, you get an extra lot of range and an extra lot of base damage. And +3, you get an extra lot of range and an extra lot of base damage. Have I done non-ballista single tower runs? Yes, I did it with encampment. Okay, house protection money, 33,500. We didn't death tax this run because we worked out it wasn't really that good. Wow, how bad would the death taxes been this run? It's hard to see the graves. Can't tell. Good map for it though. Map MVP. Panz MVP. Yeah. This guy. With a 0+0 challenge, quality of quantity malice has greater effect. Are we talking about the card or in general? Because yeah, that definitely, well, yes, it reduces your base damage by 1. But your base damage goes up every time you level. So it's still proportional to when you were up higher versus going down lower. The damage lost as a percentage of the damage you would have done is a greater percentage of the overall whole, but you still only lose the same amount of damage as you would have from a higher level. So the numbers that project that it's worse because of like pseudo diminishing return sort of statement is an invalid argument. How about 1 tile, 1 weapon challenge? Can't be done. Well, you might be able to manufacture it. With a very specific layout. So it would make an amazing video to watch, but it'd be pretty obvious to anyone that has played the game, which would be the only people watching it, that it required a very specific map layout to make it happen.